Hello and welcome to Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. My name is Kelly and I'm a former wedding planner and blogger, and I'm obsessed with weddings. If you're planning a wedding in Ireland, you're in the right place. You're going to learn the tried and tested methods to planning your dream wedding without the added stress. Think of this as your one-stop shop for everything to do with planning your wedding in Ireland, with me, your new wedding planning bestie, and a cup of tea. This is Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. Well, hello and welcome to a new episode of Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. I'm your host. My name is Kelly and I have a special guest. This is Glenn Hartman, my husband.
Hello. It's nice to be back.
Thanks for coming back. It's been so long. That's a funny joke. If you missed last week, we are now into part 2 of our wedding story. So part 1, which was last week, and actually probably about 30 seconds ago for us, we covered our theme and colors. We spoke about our venue and just how stressful it was trying to find the venue. We talked through our budget, our decor and flowers, and just how we planned everything together. We went through a little bit of our non-negotiables, and now we are going to talk through the rest. So let's start with our outfits and hair/makeup. Glenn did not wear any makeup, and you just did your own hair, so we don't need to talk about that for you. But talk us through your shirt, your suit, your accessories. Do you remember any of the colors and the details?
Yeah, I remember my outfit. It was a beige suit. I guess I'm not into looking too traditional in general, so I thought I'd do something different. I had a short sleeve shirt.
You did?
It was collared. It had it was red and white triangles, very small.
Yeah. So from a distance, it actually looked almost pink.
Which fitted in with our theme.
It did.
And then I had brown shoes, brown socks, which sounds pretty standard. And I had sort of like a beige tie as well.
Was it beige? Wasn't it like a textured white?
It was beige and white
beige
textured tie, yeah.
It was a really good tie. Do you remember the brand of shoe?
I don't.
I don't either, but they were really good shoes. In fact, Glenn still has them and
Still
wears
have them,
to
and I still wear them
fancy
sometimes to some events.
They're good shoes. I had a lot more that I was wearing, so my answer is a little bit longer. I didn't wear a wedding dress. I wore a dress that looked like a wedding dress, but I had tried on wedding dresses, and they just had like a lot of layers, and I felt like it was just not me. It felt very poofy and just quite formal, and I just didn't feel comfortable in any of them. I had tried to sit down in a couple of wedding dresses, which I highly recommend doing when you're trying dresses on, and I just didn't feel like I would be able to relax. And so I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but on the day that I went with my bridesmaids to look for bridesmaids dresses, we went to a big shopping mall, and we were in one of the shops, and I was flicking through like just normal bridesmaids dresses, and I saw a dress, and I was like, this looks like it could be a wedding dress. And I tried it on, it fit me perfectly, and I got it. So it was a blush pink dress, very, very light blush pink, almost white. It had lace on the top and like a kind of fixed bodice thing underneath, and then like soft tulle, an A-line skirt, so it was long. And then I got one of our friends who was a fashion designer, I got her to add some kind of like detail to the bottom of the dress, just so that it didn't feel like I just pulled it off the rack and wore it. So it was a little bit customized. She also made a champagne gold veil for me, which was really special. And then I got a lace cover-up. It was long, like to the floor, and it had long sleeves. Because it was an autumn wedding, I didn't know which direction the weather would go in, and so I wore that for the second half of the day. What else did I have? I didn't buy special shoes for the wedding. I don't enjoy wearing heels, so I wanted to wear heels, but I didn't trust buying new heels. So I re-wore a pair of shoes that I'd gotten for someone else's wedding a couple of years back, because I knew that they would be comfortable and that I wouldn't have sore feet because I'd worn them before. So I did that. I also had, we mentioned in the previous episode, a gold leaf headpiece, which was the inspiration behind some of the decor. It was the very first thing we bought for the wedding. That was the headpiece that I wore, and it didn't actually have a matching bracelet. I found a bracelet that looked matching, and so I bought that. It was also a gold leaf that I wore. So that was me. In terms of my makeup, I had a bridesmaid who was a makeup artist, and she did my makeup for me, which was really special. And then another friend who was a hairstylist, and she did my hair. So I had my hair in waves, and it had like kind of 2 little plaits that went around the back.
Looked very good.
Thank you. Do you want to talk us through what the groomsmen wore? Do you remember what they wore?
Yeah, so they all wore shades of brown jackets.
Yes.
Was it like shades of brown or lighter beige chinos, I think,
Yes.
was the case. Brown shoes.
Yeah.
And then
White shirts, I think.
white shirts.
Yeah.
And was it, I guess it was also brown ties?
Yeah, we actually gave them the ties. I think we
yes.
bought 2 shades of brown, and we gave each guy a tie kind of based on the shade of brown that the rest of their outfit was.
Yeah.
So we actually got all the wedding party members to buy their own outfits or to borrow or wear what they had, because we wanted it to feel a little bit mix and match.
Yes.
Because we had 9 bridesmaids and 9 groomsmen. And so if you have 9 on either side and they all look exactly the same, it can just look a bit strange. I think it's fine for like 4 or 5 on each side. But if you've got 9, it would have looked a bit weird. So we just got them to have a bit of a mix and match vibe. So I love the way the groomsmen looked. I think just the different shades, like we didn't have any one guy wearing all dark or all light. It was kind of like either light chinos and a darker jacket, or like lighter jacket and darker chinos, but it just looked really good the way they matched each other. And then the bridesmaids, we did a similar thing, except it was shades of blush pink dresses, like on the shorter side, so round knee length, with beige shoes. And then we gave them gold leaf earrings to kind of match the theme and tie it all together. That was a gift for them. And they all did their own hair and makeup, and I've got loads of photos of them helping each other, and it's just really sweet because it was such a special bonding day for all of them, helping each other to get ready and doing their hair and makeup and nails and everything. So that's the outfits. I was really pleased. I just didn't want everything to look too samey, but I didn't want to look like I was going out of our way to be different. And I think we nailed it.
Yeah, I think so.
I think looking back on our photos, it doesn't look like, oh, that was a wedding from 2015. It just like we just all look really good.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
I like it too.
If I went to a wedding tomorrow and everyone was wearing those outfits, I'd be like, cool, they look great. Like I wouldn't be like, oh, that looks really old. So I was happy with that. Why don't we talk a little bit about the entertainment, the food, the timeline for the day? I think if you had to ask me to regurgitate the exact timeline for the day, I could probably do it. I think our ceremony started at 1:30. I think.
That's a closer guess than I would be able to remember.
Yeah. It was either 1:30 or it was like 1:30 for 2. It was like something like that. Couldn't tell you what time we got to the reception venue, but it was probably like 5 or 6 because we had the drive and everything.
Yeah.
But we mentioned it in the previous episode that we had this amazing cake table, and that was just awesome. the cakes, like every once in a while I think to myself, if I could just get a slice of one of those cakes now, I would love that, but I can't because it wasn't a shop where you could just go and get a slice of cake.
Yeah.
So that's sad.
Some of the best cakes we've ever had.
Yeah. But we, so just kind of dialing back a couple of steps to our ceremony, we didn't have confetti at our ceremony. We actually did something different. It was your mom's idea. I don't know if you remember this. Your mom came up with this really clever idea that...
I'm trying to remember.
So what we did was we left the ceremony location first, and we just like went around a corner up into a little room, and just we were like, oh my gosh, we're married, this is crazy. And then when we came out, everybody was in a kind of tunnel, and normally they would have the confetti, and as you walk through the tunnel they'd throw the confetti. But Glenn's mom had this genius idea where what we ended up doing was we printed little cards, and every guest got a card.
Yes, I remember this.
So each guest got a card as they left the ceremony venue, and the card would have a word on it. So a word like joy or peace or laughter or something like that. And when we walked through the tunnel, the guest would say or shout or whatever, like speak that word over us as we walked through, kind of like they were speaking a blessing over us as we walked through the tunnel. So we had like hundreds of people just shouting like joy, happiness, love. And it was so cool. It was like really, really special. It was very different. I've never seen anything like it before because I guess it's not a very photo-worthy moment because confetti is such a dramatic, magical moment. But it was actually a very special,
Yeah, definitely.
like intangible moment. That was pretty cool. Okay, so then the guests got to the reception. Do you remember the name of the location that they were at when they like the first part of the venue that they were led to? Do you remember what it was called?
Was it the Secret Garden or the...
It was a secret garden. Yeah, it was a
yeah.
secret garden. It was really cool. And it had this really cool view of Table Mountain, but it was like the side of Table Mountain, not the flat bit. So it was just this really unique venue that had this really cool... just this cool
Yeah, that
view.
was an incredibly beautiful garden. And an amazing place to start the reception. We didn't really get to...
we didn't get there.
We enjoyed that when we went to go look at the venue, but like I don't think we were even in there for the reception.
I don't even think we took photos there.
No, because we were taking photos elsewhere, yeah.
We did, yeah. I think we were in the more foresty bit where we took our photos.
Yeah.
Which was actually the perfect place for us to do that. And so we had the photos taken while the guests were in the secret garden. They were then led to the reception. So by the time we were finished photos and we came through, everyone was ready for us. Our MCs were...
My sister and your brother.
Yes, they did a great job. Because we had so many bridesmaids, groomsmen, family members, and our siblings were actually in the wedding party as well. We just wanted to make sure that we gave the special people like a moment to do something that was significant for us and significant for them without having 18 speeches.
Yeah, that would not have been feasible.
But the siblings got to say nice things to us and about us, and they got to do like really fun things in that moment, which was quite special. But talking about speeches, do you remember, could you list people who did speeches?
Yeah. So I think my parents and your parents each did a joint speech.
Yes. My dad sang a song.
Your dad sang
in
a
his
song. I
speech.
remember that.
It was very special.
Yeah, and he gave you pink glasses or something?
Yes, he did. I think I still have those somewhere.
Can't remember why, but I remember he did that.
I think it's because the song was La Vie en Rose.
Right.
Or something like that. And so it was like rose-tinted glasses or something. It was something like that. I just remember being so taken aback that he was singing that I can't remember what he sang.
I had two best men because I had 9 groomsmen. Did they both give speeches?
No, one of them said the prayer before we ate.
One said the prayer, one gave a speech.
Yeah.
I think your maid of honor gave a speech. No? Was that all then?
Yeah. And then just the two of us.
And the two of
We
us.
individually did a speech. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was it. Okay. So Glenn's non-negotiable. Do you want to remind us about your non-negotiable?
It was a plated meal and not a buffet style.
So now, since the meal was such an important part of the experience for you, I want to see if you can remember what we ate.
Oh my gosh.
So while I give you a chance to think, we, as our guests RSVP'd, we replied to them with a few more details, including the meal options. And so we got guests to order their meal ahead of time, and I sent our venue the table plan with exactly where each guest was sitting and what meal they had ordered. And I think the reason we did that was because we actually got a deal where we didn't have to pay as much if we knew exactly what people would order. I think it was because normally if you have 110 or 111 guests and, you know, they could all order the one meal or they could all order the other meal. So you have to have enough options for everyone to order whatever they want. But it was cheaper if we said we're going to have X amount of this dish, X amount of this dish, and you only need to prepare that much. So, with that preamble, can you remember the starter? Because I
was going to start the other. I was going to start the other way because.
No, you can start the other way if that's helpful.
Oh, I know there was different options, so I certainly won't remember all the options. But there was some sort of like chocolate torte.
Yes, that was really good. I think that might have been the only dessert option because I don't remember seeing anything else unless everyone ordered the chocolate torte.
I mean, yeah. I remember the food being absolutely incredible.
Yes, people raved about it.
Chocolate torte was amazing.
Yeah.
So then the main courses, I think there was a risotto of some kind.
Yeah, that was the
vegetarian option.
vegetarian. It might have been vegan. I don't remember.
It was the non-meat option.
Yeah.
The main that I had, some sort of beef.
I think it was a steak.
Okay. I can't believe that I can't remember this, but I can't remember exactly.
I mean, it was a meal you had 8 years ago, so.
I don't remember every meal that I've had, even though it's my wedding.
Do you remember the meal that I had?
Chicken?
Yes.
I mean,
that was a very
safe
good
bet.
guess. The starter.
But chicken, what was it? Like,
I just remember that it was like a whole chicken breast off the bone. But I don't remember
I'm
the
so
rest.
surprised because you told me we were going to talk about this and I legitimately cannot remember what our mains. I remember there was a risotto. Don't remember what was in the risotto.
Which is funny because you didn't even eat it.
I didn't even have it, but I guess because I love risotto. If I had the choice, I would have eaten all of the courses, but
yeah, that was not an option.
it was not, unfortunately.
Starter,
the starters, I'm going to be very general. I think there was some sort of salad,
but it was
like a really good salad.
I feel like you're right. I think it was either everyone had a salad or it was soup or salad, but I only remember eating the salad, and I remember
people
it was
raving
really
about it. Did it have watermelon in it? Oh, gosh, now I'm raving.
I don't think so.
I'm glad that you don't seem to remember either, because I thought you knew, and every time you seem to know so much about this wedding, obviously, because it's our wedding, but I feel like, oh my gosh, I don't remember that much.
Yeah.
So this makes me feel a little bit better that you're also struggling. I see it in a soup or salad. Yeah.
No, I think it was like the choice between a soup or a salad. I
don't remember.
I think all I know is that the food was incredible and everybody was raving about it. So that's a win.
I mean, obviously I'm going to be biased in this because it was my wedding, but it really was some of the best food that I've ever had at a wedding.
Yeah, it was great. Okay, we had a special treat after the dessert came out. We had a special coffee bar.
I never got to go to the coffee bar.
What? We had that for you because you're obsessed with coffee.
I legitimately don't think I went into that back room once because...
Actually, now that you think about it, I didn't go there either.
It makes sense that the coffee bar would have been for me considering how much coffee I drink. But that whole evening we were trying to connect with every single person in the room.
That is
so we never got... So there was all these shenanigans with our bridesmaids and groomsmen that went on back there that...
we have no idea what
we
happened.
only found out about afterwards.
I mean, it was nothing really weird.
No, it wasn't super weird. It was
just
like
hanging out.
They were having good times and lots of banter, which we were not part of.
We missed the banter at our own wedding.
Yeah.
Okay, then we had... Okay, let's talk through the music. So we had a DJ.
We had a DJ. Who's actually a wedding DJ, and
that's what he does by profession.
He was amazing. The DJ was one of my groomsmen,
and he was a DJ that I worked with as a wedding coordinator. He was every time I did a wedding and people asked if I knew a DJ, he was the one I recommended because he was literally the best DJ.
So yeah, we knew his musical taste. He knew our musical taste because we were really good friends with him.
Yeah.
And he was honestly like the best DJ that we had encountered. So it was a no-brainer. Really yeah. And also for him, he's not a dancer, so he would keep reminding us that it would give him an excuse to be behind the DJ desk and not on the dance floor.
Pretty clever.
Yeah.
Okay, so Glenn, I'm going to see if you can remember any of the song choices. So don't look at my notes. Okay, so from the beginning of the wedding, when I walked down the aisle, so I'll say what we didn't do because I had a song that I really wanted to walk down the aisle to, and for months I'd been saying I would love to walk down the aisle to Paradise by Coldplay. And I had this vision in my head of like this one particular moment where there's an instrumental and it like kind of starts to like build, and that would be the moment where like I would like appear in the doorway and then everyone would get emotional. But we ended up finding another song by watching someone else's wedding video probably less than a month before our wedding, and I was like, this is the song. Do you remember what it was called?
I can't remember the name. I feel like I remember some of the lyrics. It was like from the first time I saw you, I knew that you were mine or something like that.
Yes.
But what was the song called?
It was called Overwhelmed.
Oh, I'm overwhelmed by you.
It was really special.
That was a good song.
It was a good song. Overwhelmed by Tim McMorris was the song. It was really, really lovely.
I can still remember his voice, actually.
He's got a really good voice. Yeah. But I didn't want to walk down the aisle to a song that I had seen people walking down the aisle to. And remember, I was a wedding coordinator at the time. I'd been to hundreds of weddings and I'd seen, Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran. I'd seen All of Me by John Legend, and I'd seen 1,000 Years by Christina Perri. Those were the songs that were doing the rounds at the time, and they're amazing song choices. I just didn't want to walk down the aisle to a song that I'd watched someone else walking down the aisle to. So that's why we picked a song that literally I hadn't even heard of the artist or the song before watching that other person's wedding video. Okay, we did 2 special items during the ceremony. One was a song that played while we took communion together. Can I just say that we set up the communion board the day before, and the rolls were rock hard by the time we got to the communion moment at our wedding. So I remember that. Do you remember the song?
No, but I think I might have seen the note. Was it Ever Be?
Yes, Ever Be by Bethel. It was a really special song because it talks about, like, your love is devoted like a ring of solid gold. And it like talks about how God's love, it uses this picture of his love being like the commitment that you make in marriage. And so it was really special for us to reflect on that during our own wedding ceremony. Yeah. We did another special item that I did not even know about. It was a surprise for me that Glenn had been working on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I wrote you a song and recorded it and we played that as well for
Was
you.
there a reason that you didn't sing it live?
As I would have been in tears the whole time and I wouldn't have been able to perform it.
That's true. So Glenn made this awesome video with the song that he'd recorded because I know that he produces this podcast, but he's also a music producer, songwriter, singer, artist. So he was able to put his talents to good use for our wedding ceremony. It was very, very special. Do you remember the name of the song?
Silhouette.
Yes. Then what did we exit the ceremony to? Really good celebration song.
On Top of the World. Is it Imagine Dragons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm On Top of the World. I thought that was a great
song.
choice. Now, the only song moment that made me cry was our reception entrance song. I didn't cry during the moment that we walked in, but I cried the first time I heard the song. And you're going to laugh when you hear what the song was. Do you remember what the song was?
I remember walking into the reception venue and I remember, doing, because it was 2 long lines of table.
Yeah, so we walked through the middle.
So we walked through the middle and around and said hi to everybody. What was the song?
Okay, I'll give you a clue.
Give me a clue.
It's a theme song.
Oh my gosh, was it Friends?
My favorite show, yes, Friends. So the reason that I cried...
so funny that we chose that.
It's not funny.
That's very much us.
It's very appropriate. Okay, I love the show Friends. Glenn didn't watch Friends before we met, but now it's something we watch together all the time. We have done some Friends pub quizzes, and we have won 2 years in a row, so we know our stuff.
2 out of 2 times, actually.
2 out of 2 times, yeah. 100% of the time we have won. But the thing that made me cry was we had decided that it would be fun to have the chorus because it says, I'll be there for you. Like, how cool. But if you remember the first verse of the song, it talks about how life sucks. It's like, so no one told you life was going to be this way. Your job's a joke. Like, that whole thing. And we were like...
Your love life's DOA.
And it's like, well, it's not
wedding day. That's probably not the right song.
Like, we probably can't do that. The words would be really weird. So what Glenn did was he put his music producer hat on and he basically created this song where the verse was an instrumental and then it went into the words singing I'll be there for you. And I cried a little bit because I was like, I can't believe we get to have this because it wasn't looking like it was going to be a good option. So that was really, really special. That was the reception entrance. Then first dance. Did we do a first dance?
We didn't.
We did not. But what did we do instead?
We sang a song together.
We did. That was really fun. Another song that I hadn't actually heard at a wedding that I'd been to. It's called No Matter Where You Are by Us, the duo. I think they sang it at their own wedding.
It probably was written, probably wrote it for their wedding.
Probably. They were like really awesome couple. They've done loads of really cool cover songs, but then they released one that they'd written themselves. And we sang that at our wedding. It's got lots of fun harmonies, and so we really enjoyed that. And then the final like kind of item type song or like special song was the one that we played when we left the reception. Do you remember what that was? It was kind of a funny one.
Yeah, Get Lucky by Daft Punk.
Yes, very appropriate. But then we were also quite specific about some of the song choices that would be played after we opened the dance floor because we wanted to know that people would stay on the dance floor. Yeah. So when we sang our song, No Matter Where You Are, we got the guests onto the dance floor. And so normally I would say have them stand around the dance floor, do your dance in the middle, and then play 2 or 3 very strategically chosen songs so that they get onto the dance floor immediately. Do you remember what any of those songs were? Because I can remember two of them.
There would have been one would have been Taylor Swift, Shake It Off, because that was very big at the time.
That was huge at the time, and it's still one of my favorite wedding dance songs of all time. Do you remember? There was another one that I remember, also very big at the time.
Maybe Best Day of My Life? No.
You know what? I think that was one of them. That was another one that we considered walking out of the ceremony to.
Yeah.
But the one that I remember is Happy by Pharrell. Because it was also big. It's a fun song. But I think Best Day of My Life by American Authors, I think that was on our list.
That would have been on the list, yeah.
Okay, so let's end. We've got two things we're going to do before we end. Do you have any wedding planning tips or hacks or anything that you learned while planning your wedding? I know you've listened to every single podcast episode where I literally give wedding planning tips all the time. So I'm hoping something is settled in your heart, in your mind, and that you have something that you would like to share. Anything that you learned that you would share with people.
That's a very good question. Probably, I think communication between you and your partner is always a really good thing because you to be able to know what you both want and then decide, where we sort of like have the same, where we have agreement and where we have slightly different ideas. And if you're just communicating those things properly, then you can keep meeting each other's expectations, because I think expectations are always going to be the thing. Like, that's where conflict comes in. So if you can meet each other's expectations and know what each other's expectations are, that's really good.
It's a good tip.
And then I think also just like make a decision to enjoy every aspect of the planning rather than stress about it.
Yeah.
Because I think what we said always was, at the end of the day, you're getting married. You've signed the paper. That's what matters. So you are married. That means that's a successful wedding. So if something had to go wrong on the day, who cares? It's fine, because at the end of the day, you're getting married and everything's part of it. And the things that go wrong become the cool, funny stories that you get to tell later down the line. And just, enjoy the process. Like, don't let it become a stressful thing. Let it become a really, enjoyable thing. I think that's probably the best.
That's good. Wow, you should host your own wedding podcast.
Wedding Wednesdays with Glenn.
Okay, so a couple of things that I wrote. Something that I share a lot, which is use one thing for multiple purposes. We did that with the trees, which we then used as the wedding favors. It's just a good way to save some money. We chose to have a wedding cake table and then dessert later. But if we had done dessert one time instead of two, I would have said use the cake as dessert, because you don't need both. I said, similar to your thing about communication, plan your wedding together, make decisions together. If you can both be involved, if you can both be excited about it, then when you get to your day, you can both be like, wow, we did this. And then get your friends and family to help. We had our friends and family help make the wedding invitation packages together. We had them over spray painting animal figurines and leaves and cutting Hessian material and helping to get all the bits together. It was just really special having lots of people involved, because then it meant that when they got to the day, they were like, oh, that was the thing that I spray painted. I helped to make this and that. And it was just really cool. Okay, we're going to end by having a quick chat about anything that we would change. If you could change anything about a wedding, if you could go back in time, or if you could relive the wedding and do anything differently, what would it be?
I don't think I would change anything as in I regret X or Y. I'm very happy with what we did and how we did it.
Good answer.
If we had to get married again, or they say if we had to do a vow renewal, I would probably do add some flowers. I don't regret at all not doing the flowers. I thought that was an amazing idea and I loved it. But to do something different, I'd probably want to add a whole bunch of flowers and different types of flowers into the thing. That would have been probably one thing.
That's cool. Yeah, that was something Glenn revealed when we did our couples quiz a few months ago. So that's a good one. I like that. So next time we get married, we can have a spring wedding and we can have flowers.
Vow renewal.
There we go. I would have said, I felt like we paid a lot of attention to the celebration side of things, and I felt like I didn't really have a clear idea in my head of what the ceremony should be like until the day before. So we knew we wanted to do communion. We knew that we want, like, which songs we wanted. We knew that we were going to lead worship at our ceremony, which we did, and it was really special. We knew what songs we wanted, but I hadn't really given any thought to the vows and what I wanted to say until literally the night before our wedding. We sat down with our celebrant and he said, these are some different options. What do you think? And he was really good and he helped us to put it together. And I was very happy with what we ended up with. But I think if I could go back in time, I would have given a bit more attention to the vows and I would have just thought about it more. Because the vows, that's the whole point. You're making promises to each other.
Yeah.
That is the whole point. So my advice to you is to give some time to your vows and your ceremony and just think about it more. I would also have prepared my speech ahead of time. I prepared it the morning of the wedding. Not recommended. But I think I just didn't plan it properly. And so it was good. I was happy that I spoke and it was a good thing. But I think I would have shortened it. I would have thanked all the suppliers like in one sentence instead of individually listing some of them. But yeah, those are relatively small things considering, we planned the wedding in 8 months.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's our wedding. Thanks for joining us, Glenn.
You're very welcome.
I will definitely have him back sometime. But thank you for listening today. The Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online podcast is produced by me, Kelly, and mixed, mastered, and edited by Glenn Hartman. For more wedding planning tips, advice, checklists, and more, visit weddingsonline.ie.